Brooklyn asked for, in return for Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and multiple first-round picks. In what planet, in what stratosphere do you think that Kevin Durant is going to be worth two pivotal concrete building pieces that are growing in Minnesota, that are becoming superstars, for a 34-year-old, injury-prone, what seems to be bad leader and headache in the locker room, and Kevin Durant? Why would Minnesota give up their entire future for an older superstar that probably doesn't even want to play in Minnesota? Then they asked for DeAndre Ayton. They also asked for Cameron Johnson and Devin Booker to be in the trade for for Phoenix. And Mikal Bridges, I believe, was also a part of one of those trades. Then in Miami, they wanted Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, and I think they were going to offset the Kyle Lowry contract. I don't remember the exact specifications, but you guys can see Brooklyn is asking for such a steep price for KD. And it just doesn't seem to be going well for them because teams are absolutely declining those phone calls. So, Kyle, I'm going to ask you, with everything increasing and how this situation has basically gone from holy shit, KD's about to leave to it don't look like KD going anywhere. What are your thoughts on Kevin Durant potentially being in a Brooklyn Nets uniform come day one of the opening season?
I actually think that it's a growing possibility, like as more time goes on. Well, it's like you said, Kev. A lot of these trade rumors, dude, there's a massive thunderstorm outside. I don't know if
That's
like the
what that
microphone.
was?
Yeah, I don't know if like the microphone picked it up, but bro, like the lightning bolt was literally like probably like a half mile away from me. Bro,
That's
there's a
creepy.
big it's a big storm rolling through right now. But to get back on point, yeah, I think that it's a growing possibility that Kevin Durant's going to be starting with the Nets day one. Now that doesn't mean that's necessarily going to happen. I mean, really, Kevin Durant put out the trade request 2 weeks ago, and Kevin just outlined a bunch of trade scenarios that, to me, just seem like unfathomable for teams to be able to agree to. You're basically mortgaging like a third of your team to be able to land one person. Maybe, Brooklyn would throw in other pieces just to kind of add to it. But by and large, like Kevin, you mentioned the Phoenix trade proposal where Brooklyn would want, you said, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Cameron Johnson, and even like Mikal Bridges as well. That's way
Yep.
too steep. That is extremely too steep. I don't care what, Phoenix aspirations are. That is not something that they should commit to. I don't think any team that should be willing to give up that much for Kevin Durant. I understand Kevin Durant is a great player, but let's kind of put this into perspective here. He's 34 years old. This is not Kevin Durant coming off of championship titles when he was playing with Golden State in the prime of his career. That's not to say that, Kevin Durant's a scrub or anything like that. No, he's extremely viable despite the fact, he's 34 years old and has been more injury prone the last couple of years. However, in the last couple of years, I think it's been the last 3 years specifically, Kyrie Irving has played more games than Kevin Durant. And Kyrie, he's a headache just by himself with the amount of distractions he gets himself involved in. So when I look at Durant's a great player, but really his availability has been an issue. He is getting older. And despite whatever you would try to trade for Kevin Durant, I don't think that it's worth it at this current point in time, no matter what you're getting in return with KD's services. I think if teams were really desperate, like you would take a really desperate team to be able to go out on a limb and basically say, we're going to basically give up a third of our team, damn near half of our team, and mortgage the next 2 to 3 years of our draft capital to be able to commit to landing KD. I just don't think that it's worth it. So I think just as more time goes on and these trade proposals that Brooklyn's offering to teams across the league keep getting shut down, I think the growing possibility of him playing for the Nets is starting to increase rapidly. However, though, at the same time, I think a holdout could potentially be coming as well. It just depends on how willing KD's able to stay away from the Nets this upcoming season. And that could be a possibility depending on what his overall relationship status is with the Nets front office. I imagine it's not in a good place if, KD's asking for a trade request 2 weeks ago. It could be a situation that could be resolved slightly as time goes on throughout the summer. But overall, I think a holdout could potentially be looming here just because if Kevin is dead set on leaving Brooklyn and it's just not able to happen, the Nets could be looking at Kevin basically saying, it's like, we could still try to work out a trade deal throughout the season, but you're going to have to be able to play with us during the meantime. And Kevin may not commit to that. So I think there's definitely a lot more information that we still have to wait to release when it comes to Kevin's status for this upcoming season. But I think two things can be true at the same time. I think that the likelihood of playing for the Nets this upcoming season is increasing. However, at the same time, I do believe that a holdout from Kevin specifically is increasing as well. And that's really just kind of how I see things at this current moment in time with Kevin.